People in Indonesia are surveying the damage after a 6.5 magnitude quake rattled the island of Java. At least 3 people were killed, 7 others injured. People in the capital, Jakarta, also felt the ground shake. That's about 300 kilometers or 186 miles from the quake's epicenter.
Hundreds of buildings were damaged, including a hospital that moved 70 patients to safer locations. Officials say aftershocks are being felt throughout the region.
Let's get the latest now. Ivan Cabrera joins us on that.
Yeah, we've had already a strong aftershock, which is basically another earthquake that happens after the main epicenter shock there. That was about 5.4, and we're expecting more over the next several days. It's terrible, obviously, to see people lying on the streets there because they're afraid, obviously, to go back into their buildings, although officials are told, I've been telling most of them that they can head back in. All right, let's check in on the numbers here, and we'll break this down for you and let you know that this could have been much worse. Well, everything can always be much worse, right? But when we talk about earthquakes, a 6.5, pretty strong quake. The reason the damage was not as catastrophic as we've had in past quakes, and the death toll, I think, will remain rather low with this one, is the depth. It's all about where the earthquake occurred, and that occurred about 92 kilometers below the Earth's surface, right? So about 57 miles, and so all that energy has to go through a lot of rock, miles and miles of rock, before it gets to the surface, and those waves begin to impact with buildings. And basically, a deep earthquake here, or as deep as they get across this area. Now, you get these shallow earthquakes, and the number could be even lower. You get a 5.5 and get a lot more damage. So this is what's going to happen over the next few days. When you do get a 6.5, basically order of magnitude down 1, you get a 5.5 as far as the aftershock. We've already gotten that. We've gotten a 5.4. Thereafter, I think now, over the next several hours, and certainly in the next several days, potential there to get anything over a 4. You usually average about 10 of those, and then you get into the 2.5 and 3.5s, and those typically don't cause significant damage unless your building has been significantly compromised, and then they can't. Keep you posted on those aftershocks. Then we take you to the other story, of course. We're probably going to be covering this fire, this Thomas Fire, right through 2018. Unbelievable now that this wind event is returning, so high fire danger continues for the south, and now we're involving the North Country here as well. The valleys will be getting in on high fire danger, burning obviously not recommended across the north either, and of course down south, no question about that. This is the 4th, the Thomas Fire, the 4th largest fire in California's history out of a good 10 there that we've been covering. Now, interestingly enough, right, so it ranks 8th as far as how many structures have been burned. So this is the 8th most catastrophic fire as it relates to that. Give you another statistic here, and just basically the worst fires that they've experienced as far as the structure damage, 3 of those have occurred in just the last few years. So as officials have been talking about, the governor as well, it's the new normal. A new normal we do not like because it involves fires going into even the wet season. No rain inside California. This will be an issue, I think, over the next few days. It's just a matter of whether weather conditions will be a little bit better for firefighting efforts some days and not so much the others, and we're entering into a not so much one here as the winds will begin to pick up. Reason for that, big area of low pressure diving in from the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be churning up the winds. You don't need an easterly fetch or a direct offshore wind, right? This is bad enough here when it comes from the north as well, passing through those mountains. They speed up, and I'm thinking anywhere from 50 to potentially as high as 60-mile-an-hour winds into the next few days. We'll put this in motion as far as the futurecast. Watch the clock there. There come the winds, 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds. I think this will continue over the next couple of days before we get a respite, and I think that'll happen on Sunday, so we'll be getting into a bit of a lull there, and that will allow for, I think, containment to go hopefully higher than 35%, which is where we're sitting at 395 square miles. Have you guys been to Dallas? Well, imagine Dallas being completely engulfed in flames. That is exactly what's happened here. And in fact, we'll add another 10 square miles to that, and that's what you have there in the Thomas Fire. So they need to get better containment. We've been between 30 and 35 for some days now. So hopefully with this bit of a lull heading into Sunday, they'll get into that. What they need, obviously, is rain and for the winds to die down, neither of which I think will happen. Huge.
Wow. I've been thinking.
Okay.